What is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here. We are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Saturday, February 4th slate of NBA action. Super excited to dive into it. We have a beautiful slate of NBA games on today. So I'm super excited to dive into those. But before we did just want to go ahead and say we are still currently on the road to 12,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys do like, comment, subscribe. We are putting out new content each and every day, and you guys will not want to miss it. I've been putting out a lot of shorts as well. So you guys will not want to be missing this content. So make sure that you guys are subbed to the channel. Also, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. And thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. It truly does mean the absolute world to me. So much more than you guys will ever know. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into a quick recap as of yesterday. Very close to being able to bring out the Sunnies, but unfortunately, we did end up going 2-1. Very close, though. So we did have our two wins. We had Parlay under 20.5 points versus Minnesota, minus 105 odds. This one was really no sweat. They had that little scuffle there in the middle of that game. Like, what was that? But regardless, Parlay did only just barely broke double digits. So it really wasn't too much of a sweat at all. He had a very poor shooting night from the field, and so did Franz Wagner. So it was definitely a weird night in the NBA, from that game specifically. Most of the time, if the Magic are going to keep a game close, it's because of those two guys. But it was the role players in this one. But regardless, we ended up winning that one. Then we had the Trailblazers +4 versus Washington. The Trailblazers they literally have to be the best team when they are down by 15 plus or 10 plus multiple times. They have to be. I don't know how to really look up that stat, but games where they are down by a lot, live bet the money line, because they turn it up in the fourth quarter, especially when they're down. They've been really solid, and they're really fun fourth quarter team to watch. So they ended up getting that one done for us. They ended up winning that game outright. Then we had our one loss. We did have Charlotte and Detroit over 241 at minus 110. This is another one of those games that started off red hot. Both the teams had like a total of I think it was like 120 or 130. I think it was like close to 130 in the first half, and then unfortunately in the second half they just all slowed down. I think they ended up scoring 100 or 230 points total. So we ended up just barely missing it by like 12 points. Thought it was going to go into overtime, but then the Pistons started to pull away. So, it is what it is, though. Ended up going 2-1 on our plays. Can't complain about a little bit of profit. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's plays, though. So, for our first official play of the day, we are going to be taking Brandon Ingram over 23.5 points here versus the Lakers at minus 105 odds. Now, come on. He's playing against his old team, and I think he does come up big in this one. The minutes seem to be back on track. I know that he was injured, and he was on a little bit of a minutes restriction, but now he is back to his normal rotational minutes. He played, I think it was 36 last game versus the Dallas Mavericks, in which he did end up having 26 in that game. And let's be honest, the Mavericks are a tough team to go over against because they are obviously a very good defensive team, but they're also super slow paced. They don't try to hurry anything at all, and Brandon Ingram was still able to drop 26 on him. So I think versus the Lakers team that plays at a much faster pace, I think that we are going to see a little bit of value here. And versus his old team, Brandon Ingram has really turned things up. He's gone over in 3 out of his last 4 games versus the Lakers, averaging a total of 27.5 points over the course of those games. So I do think he can get there today. And the Lakers do give up the 5th most points per game to opposing teams, and they even give up more on the road. So I do think this is a spot where you do want to take Brandon Ingram's over. I actually do like a good number of overs in this game, but this was one that really stood out to me. I also do like Anthony Davis's overs, so if you guys want to pivot from this game as well, I do like Anthony Davis's overs. But personally, this is a spot that I did want to go ahead and take Brandon Ingram. He's been good against his old team. He's starting to get his minutes back, and he shoots a ton of shots. There's no doubt about it. Brandon Ingram, regardless of him being injured, he's still going to be taking those shots. So I do think this is a spot to take his over. So we're going to be riding with it here for our first official play of the day. Brandon Ingram over 23.5 points here versus the Lakers at minus 105 odds. Now, for our second official play of the day, we are taking the Wizards +2 here versus the Nets at minus 110 odds. Now, I'm sure you guys have all heard, but just in case if you guys are living under a rock, Kyrie did request a trade from this team. How long is it until Kyrie ends up sitting for them? I do not know, but I do think that the Wizards do come back on the second leg of a back-to-back and actually end up winning this game outright. Washington is really good against the spread on the second leg of a back-to-back. They're 7-2. They're very good in those turnaround spots, and I think that they're going to come up big here versus Brooklyn as well. Washington is also a great road team just in general. 15, 11, and 2 against the spread on the road this year. They've been very good on the road. I don't expect anything to change against a pretty good Nets team, but I feel like everything is kind of falling apart with the Nets. I feel like there's a chance that the Nets end up struggling today regardless. In Brooklyn, they're not necessarily the best home team against the spread either. 10, 12, and 1 against the spread at home, not the greatest. And I do think that the money line at plus 115 here is pretty good for the Wizards too. I'm not going to make it an official play just because that is heavily, heavily juiced, but I do think that regardless, I do think the Wizards end up winning today. So I'm going to take their spread just in case if they end up losing by 1 or losing by a bucket. So that way we can go ahead and still get the push. But I do like this spot here for the Wizards. I think that they do bounce back from the Portland game as of yesterday. So we're going to be riding with it for our second official play of the day. Wizards plus 2 here versus the Nets at minus 110 odds. Now for our third and final play of the day, we are going to be taking the Blazers and the Bulls under 232.5 at minus 110 odds. Now, these two teams, when they have matched up against each other, they have gone under a lot. They've gone under in 6 out of their last 8 games, and I think that we will see a similar trend here once again. Portland is 18-9 to the under on the road, much more profitable to the under than the over, especially on the road. And Chicago is 15-10 to the under at home. We all know the Chicago Bulls. I specifically know my Chicago Bulls very well. They play a much better game of basketball versus solid teams. And we all know Portland's very solid. So I think this is a spot that the Bulls do end up stepping up and actually playing pretty good game here. Also, this will be Portland's 4th game in 6 nights. Yes, you guys heard me right. 4th game in 6 nights. They've been playing a lot of basketball here recently, and they've been against very solid teams. Is there a world that they come out here and they're a little bit tired, a little bit lackluster? Absolutely. So I do like this spot here, and Portland does average fewer points per game on the road. They're a better scoring offense at home. So I think that's a pretty good spot as well. And in the last 3 games, Chicago has allowed the 3rd fewest points per game to opposing teams. They've been really solid here defensively. So can they continue that on here versus the Blazers? Maybe. Dame has a tendency to go off against the Bulls, but regardless, I do think that the under is going to hit over the totality of the game. I think if you are going to lean any sort of an over, I do like Dame's over, but other than that, I would kind of stay away from it. It seems like this is going to be a game that it goes under. I don't know for sure, but it does seem like this is a good spot for us. So we're going to be riding with it for our third and final play of the day. Blazers and the Bulls under 232.5 at minus 110 odds. Now, a huge lean that I did have that I will more than likely end up making an official play is going to be a Josh Giddey same game parlay. I like him to score 15 plus. I like him to score or to get 5 plus rebounds and 5 plus assists. I think that this is going to be a good spot for him. He's played against the Rockets and he ended up covering this last game, and he's been very good to this little same game parlay here. So if you guys did want any sort of a lean for that one, he's playing against the Rockets, a really great matchup, and the Rockets are going to be without Eric Gordon, and I think this is a spot where Josh Giddey ends up doing some damage here. So I think that this is a good spot. The Thunder are like 9-point favorites, I think, so they're going to need some players to step up, and I think Josh Giddey is going to be one of those players. So that is going to be our one lean that we do have. It'll probably be a final play, but as of right now, I don't have any lines yet, so I'm not going to make that official, but I really do like that one as well. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are still currently on the road to 12,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure that you guys are subbed. But that's going to do it for me. This is King Center signing out. Peace.